Hello there, Riderflex Nation. Steve Urban here with more career advice and job interviewing tips for you. And as a quick reminder, if you enjoy our podcast, please remember to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes. And on today's podcast, how do you get real employee feedback, right? 100% transparent employee feedback. Very difficult to do. If you're a founder or an executive, you told everybody you have the open door policy and you kind of feel like everybody's telling you the truth or giving you, everything you need to know. The reality is, and in fact, all my years of professional experience, and I'm an older executive, the reality is employees are always a little nervous about sharing their true feelings or telling you the whole story, right? For various reasons, and rightfully so. It's human nature. Remember, most employees, they're not rich executives, they're not rich founders. Okay, they're living check to check. They're depending on that job. They have to pay their mortgages. Okay, they have to pay daycare. If they lose that job or they, quote, fall out of favor with the executives, things could go bad for them. And so employees by nature are super careful. They are conservative, and it's very difficult to get them to really speak the truth and give 100% transparency on feedback. And I understand it. I get it. I've seen it all of my life. So the challenge is, if you're an executive or a founder, how do you really get it, right? How do you really get what you need to make good decisions? How do you get employees to tell it like it is without fear of retribution or fear of being looked at as a non-team player, etc.? How do you do it, right? It's tough. It's a really tough debate. And we could probably invite a bunch of guests on this podcast and talk about it for hours. Here's what I would recommend. Try to find a way that allows employees to give confidential, private feedback, right? The old-fashioned, suggestion box, so to speak. Now, I've seen that not work so many times. Companies try that, and then a couple of things happen. Either A, it just turns into a silly kind of bitching department where people put silly little notes like, I don't like what kind of coffee the break room has, and stuff like that, right? It gets kind of ridiculous, so it can get out of hand. I've also seen a situation where people start giving feedback on suggestion boxes or, whatever you call it, tip jar, whatever you call it. People start giving ideas, but nothing ever happens, right? The employees never see anything from it. And so guess what? They stop giving feedback because they know nothing's going to happen. So it's tricky, but there needs to be some sort of mechanism for people to give feedback privately so they don't worry, right? You got to be able to get that information. Here's a really good way, and by the way, I'm not bringing this tip up just to sell Riderflex's own consulting services, but bring in an outside party of some kind, right? A consultant or somebody, and let them visit with the staff and get to know the staff. And you'd be surprised. An outside party comes in, visits with key employees, and the employees they almost throw up on them, right? I mean, they just can't wait to get the information out, especially if they feel like maybe they can trust the consultant or they feel like the consultant's been hired to really find out what's going on. I suggest that too. So do something in your company to make sure your employees are always able to give 100% transparent, unfiltered feedback. Here's why that's so important, okay? When things aren't going well or there's obstacles within the company, whatever it might be, processes, sales, expenses, whatever, when things aren't good, I can guarantee you 99% of the time, the employees have the answer. You just haven't gotten it out of them because they're a little nervous about sharing their thoughts. Okay? And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. We truly hope you find our material helpful and entertaining. And while our podcast can be heard across most platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud, you can become a supporter of this podcast by visiting our show on the platform Anchor FM. That's anchor.fm/Riderflex. You can also send us your questions or suggested topics for future episodes to the email address podcast@riderflex.com or drop us a voicemail at 888-964-5876 extension 710. Visit riderflex.com to learn more about us. Thanks so much for listening, folks, and have a great day.